Dear soul, here you are. Here you are, standing at the edge of something you didn't ask for, something you didn't see coming. Something that arrived like a thief in the night and stole the peace right out of your chest. Here you are, holding your phone, holding your breath, holding back tears that have been building like a dam about to break. Here you are, and you need to be in this revelation until the very end. Do not scroll past this. Do not dismiss this. Do not let your wounded heart convince you that these words are not meant for you, because they are. Every single syllable of what is about to unfold was written in the stars long before you found it. Heaven orchestrated this moment. The universe conspired to bring these words to your eyes, to your spirit, to the deepest chambers of your aching soul. So stay right here, breathe, and let heaven speak. Last night, something happened. Something shifted in the atmosphere around your soulmate, around the person you have poured your love into, the person you have given pieces of yourself to, the person who has occupied your thoughts, your prayers, your dreams, your waking hours. Last night they went to her place. Yes, her place. The ex. The one you thought was behind you both. The one whose chapter you believed had been closed, sealed, stamped with finality. But last night, the pages turned backward. Last night, your soulmate walked through a door they should have never approached. And when they came back, if they came back, they were different. Something in their eyes had changed. Something in their energy had shifted. And they told you, or perhaps they didn't tell you, but the universe is telling you now, that she is still making them lose their sense. She is still casting a spell on them. She still has a hold, a grip, a magnetic pull that defies logic, that defies reason, that defies everything you thought your love had conquered. And here you are. Shattered but still standing, broken but still breathing, confused but still seeking answers. And heaven has answers for you today, dear soul. Heaven has a revelation so deep, so profound, so earth-shaking, that by the time you reach the end of these words, you will not be the same person you were when you started reading. You will be transformed, you will be awakened. You will be armed with a truth so powerful that no spell, no enchantment, no shadow from any past can stand against it. The spell that was never really a spell. Let us begin here, dear soul, because this is where the confusion lives. This is where the fog is thickest, and this is where heaven wants to bring its brightest light. When your soulmate says that their ex is casting a spell on them, when they say she makes them lose their sense, what they are really telling you, whether they know it or not, is that they have unfinished emotional business. They are telling you that somewhere deep inside their psyche, there are wounds that were never properly healed, patterns that were never properly broken, attachments that were never properly severed. This is not magic. This is not sorcery. This is not some supernatural enchantment that she has woven around their mind and heart. This is something far more human, far more earthly, and far more fixable, but only if your soulmate chooses to fix it. You see, dear soul, what your soulmate is experiencing is what heaven calls a trauma bond. A trauma bond is one of the most powerful and most deceptive emotional chains that can exist between two people. It is formed not from love, though it disguises itself as love, but from cycles of intense highs and devastating lows. From patterns of toxicity followed by moments of tenderness. From chaos followed by calm. From pain followed by pleasure. The brain becomes addicted to this cycle, the same way it becomes addicted to a substance. The dopamine, the cortisol, the adrenaline, they create a chemical cocktail in the body that feels intoxicating. It feels like passion. It feels like fire. It feels like something so intense that nothing else can compare. And when your soulmate stands in front of you and says she has cast a spell on them, what they are really saying is, my body, my brain, my nervous system is addicted to the chaos she brings, and I don't know how to break free. But here is what heaven needs you to understand. And this is critical, so read this slowly. Their addiction to her chaos is not a reflection of your inadequacy. Let me say that again for the part of your soul that is bleeding right now. Their inability to let go of her is not because you are not enough. It is not because your love is weak. It is not because you are lacking in beauty, in worth, in depth, in devotion. It is because they are sick. They are emotionally sick. And no amount of your love, no matter how pure, how consistent, how sacrificial, can heal a sickness that the person does not acknowledge and does not actively choose to treat. What happened last night? A heavenly perspective. Now let us talk about last night, dear soul. Let us walk through what happened from heaven's perspective, because heaven sees everything. Heaven sees what happened before your soulmate left. Heaven sees the thoughts that were running through their mind, the internal war that was raging inside them. Heaven saw the moment they picked up their keys. Heaven saw the hesitation, the brief pause where their conscience whispered, "Don't go. You know what this will do. You know this is wrong. You know there is someone who loves you purely, who deserves your loyalty, your presence, your truth." But they went anyway. They silenced that whisper. They overrode their own knowing. They chose the familiar darkness over the unfamiliar light. And when they arrived at her place, heaven was watching. Heaven saw the way she opened the door. Heaven saw the energy in that room, thick, heavy, charged with old memories and old patterns. Heaven saw the way their body responded to her presence, the way their heartbeat quickened, the way their palms grew warm, the way their mind began to cloud. And heaven wept. Not because your soulmate is a bad person, they are not. Heaven wept because your soulmate is a lost person. They are lost in a labyrinth of their own unhealed wounds, walking in circles, returning again and again to the same dead end, convinced that this dead end is somehow a doorway to something meaningful. Heaven wants you to know what your soulmate felt in that moment. They felt a rush. They felt alive. They felt that dangerous, intoxicating spark that only comes from standing at the edge of something destructive. But heaven also wants you to know what they did not feel. They did not feel peace. They did not feel safety. They did not feel the kind of deep, abiding warmth that your love brings them. They did not feel seen in the way you see them. They did not feel accepted in the way you accept them. They did not feel held in the way you hold them. What they felt was a fire. But fire, dear soul, does not always warm. Sometimes fire burns. Sometimes fire consumes. Sometimes fire reduces everything to ash. And that is what she is. She is a fire that burns. And your soulmate, in their current state of unhealing, is a moth drawn to the flame. They cannot help it. Not because of a spell, but because of a wound. They fly toward the very thing that will destroy them, because destruction is what they know. Destruction is what feels familiar, and the human psyche, in its most wounded state, will choose familiar pain over unfamiliar peace every single time. The truth about her power over them, dear soul. Let us address this directly, because heaven knows this is the part that keeps you up at night. It is the question that loops endlessly in your mind. What does she have that I don't? What is it about her that makes them lose their sense? Why can't my love compete with whatever she offers? And here is heaven's answer. And it is going to hurt before it heals. But you need to hear it. She does not have anything that you don't have. What she has is access to a part of them that you have never been granted entry to. Not because you haven't tried. Not because you aren't worthy, but because your soulmate has locked that part of themselves away, and only opens it in the presence of chaos. That part of them, the raw, unprocessed, wounded inner child, only responds to stimuli that match its original programming. If your soulmate grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent, where affection was unpredictable, where they had to earn attention through turmoil, then their inner child recognizes her patterns as love. Her hot and cold behavior, her push and pull dynamics, her ability to make them feel everything at maximum volume. It all registers in their subconscious as familiar, as home, as the love they first learned. Your love, dear soul, your steady, patient, faithful, unwavering love, registers as foreign. It registers as too good to be true. It registers as something they don't deserve, something that must have a catch, something that will eventually reveal itself as an illusion. And so they run from it. Not because it isn't real, but because they aren't healed enough to receive it. This is the cruelest irony of love, and heaven acknowledges it with the deepest compassion. The healthier your love is, the more threatening it feels to someone who is accustomed to dysfunction. You are offering them a 5-course meal, and they are running back to the poisoned crumbs she throws on the floor. Because those crumbs taste like the only food they've ever known. The war inside your soulmate's heart, heaven, wants you to see something now, dear soul. Heaven wants to pull back the veil and show you what is happening inside your soulmate's heart at this very moment. Because even though they went to her last night, even though they are caught in her gravitational pull, there is a war raging inside them that they may never have the words to express. On one side of the battlefield stands their wound. Their wound is ancient, deep and loud. Their wound screams at them that love must hurt to be real, that passion must be chaotic to be authentic, that if something comes easy, it must not be valuable. Their wound pulls them toward her like a riptide, powerful and invisible, dragging them under before they even realize they're drowning. On the other side of the battlefield stands their truth. Their truth is quieter, but it is no less powerful. Their truth knows, even if they won't admit it, that what they have with you is sacred. Their truth remembers every moment of peace you have given them, every act of kindness, every gentle word spoken in the dark, every time you chose to stay when leaving would have been easier. Their truth whispers your name in the silence of 3 a.m., when the rush of her has faded, and all that remains is emptiness. Their truth knows that you are the answer, but their wound is louder. Their wound has been speaking longer. Their wound has had years, perhaps decades, of practice drowning out the truth, and so the war continues. And your soulmate stands in the middle of the battlefield, torn apart, pulled in 2 directions, making choices that contradict their own desires, living a life that is divided against itself. They go to her and feel the rush, but they come back to you and feel the peace. And they are terrified of choosing the peace, because what if it disappears? What if they don't deserve it? What if they are too broken to sustain it? What if the calm of your love is just the calm before a worse storm? These are the fears that drive them back to her, dear soul. Not love, not a spell, not magic. Fear, deep, primal, paralyzing fear. What heaven wants you to do now, dear soul, this is the part of the revelation where heaven shifts its gaze from your soulmate to you. Because while everything I have said about them is true, there is an equally important truth that must be spoken about you and your role in this unfolding story. You cannot save them. Ride that again. Sit with it. Let it land in the center of your chest where it needs to land. You cannot save them from her. You cannot save them from their wounds. You cannot save them from their own choices. You cannot love them hard enough to make them choose you. You cannot be good enough, patient enough, forgiving enough, understanding enough to break the chains that bind them to their past. That is not your work. That was never your work. And every moment you spend trying to do that work is a moment you steal from yourself, from your own healing, from your own growth, from your own divine path. Heaven is not telling you this to be cruel. Heaven is telling you this to set you free. You have been carrying a burden that was never yours to carry. You have been fighting a battle that was never yours to fight. You have been standing in the gap between your soulmate and their destruction, using your own body as a shield, and it has been breaking you. Heaven sees the toll it has taken. Heaven sees the weight you have lost or gained from the stress. Heaven sees the sleepless nights, the anxiety that sits in your stomach like a stone, the way you check your phone obsessively, the way you analyze every word, every text, every silence. Heaven sees the way you have dimmed your own light, trying to illuminate their darkness. And heaven says, enough, dear soul. You have given enough. You have sacrificed enough. You have waited enough. You have cried enough. You have begged enough. You have prayed enough for someone who is not yet ready to pray for themselves. The mirror of self-love here is what heaven is calling you to do. And this is the hardest part of the revelation, but also the most liberating. Look in the mirror. Not the physical mirror, though that would serve you too. Because you would see someone beautiful, someone radiant, someone who has survived every storm that was sent to destroy them. But heaven is talking about the spiritual mirror, the mirror of self-reflection. The mirror that asks you, why am I willing to accept a love that has to be shared? Why am I willing to sit in the passenger seat of my own love story while someone else drives us in circles? Why do I believe that I must earn love through suffering? Why do I equate loyalty with tolerating betrayal? These are not easy questions. But they are necessary questions. Because here is a truth that heaven must speak, even though it will sting. Your soulmate is not the only one with unhealed wounds. Your willingness to stay in a situation where your love is not fully chosen, where your heart is not fully protected, where your devotion is not fully reciprocated, that willingness comes from somewhere. It comes from a wound inside you that whispers the same lies their wound whispers to them. Your wound tells you that this is what love looks like. Your wound tells you that if you just hold on a little longer, if you just love a little harder, if you just endure a little more, they will finally see you. They will finally choose you. They will finally put her down and pick you up. But dear soul, a love that requires you to compete is not a love that deserves you. A love that sends you into panic every time they leave the house is not a love that nourishes you. A love that makes you question your worth, your beauty, your value. That is not love at all. That is captivity. And heaven did not create you for captivity. Heaven created you for freedom. Heaven created you for a love that arrives whole. A love that arrives sure. A love that arrives without the shadow of another person lurking in the background. The hardest truth. Some soulmates are lessons, not destinations, dear soul. Heaven must now share something that may shake the very foundation of what you believe. But you need to be in this revelation until the very end, remember? So stay with me. Not every soulmate is meant to be a forever partner. Some soulmates arrive in your life as lessons. They arrive to teach you what you need to learn about yourself. About your patterns, your boundaries, your capacity for love, your tendency to give more than you receive, your habit of prioritizing someone else's healing over your own. These soulmates are sacred, even when they are painful. They are divine assignments, even when they feel like divine punishments. And when the lesson is complete, heaven asks you to release them. Not with bitterness, not with resentment, not with a closed heart, but with gratitude and with the understanding that their role in your story was never to stay. Their role was to prepare you for the one who will. Is this person your forever soulmate or your lesson soulmate? Heaven cannot answer that for you today, because that answer depends on choices that have not yet been made. Their choices and yours. But heaven can tell you this. If they continue to choose her, if they continue to walk through her door, if they continue to let her spell override their commitment to you, then the answer will reveal itself. And when it does, you must be brave enough to accept it. The spell that is actually on you now, dear soul, heaven must deliver perhaps the most shocking part of this entire revelation. Are you ready? Are you still here? Good, because this is the turning point. The spell is not on your soulmate. The spell is on you. Yes, you read that correctly. While you have been worried about what hold she has on them, you have been blind to the hold they have on you. Think about it. Think about how you have rearranged your life around this person. Think about how you have abandoned your own needs, your own desires, your own goals, your own peace of mind to accommodate their indecision. Think about how you have given them the power to determine your happiness, your mood, your self-worth. Think about how you have made their choice the center of your universe, when your universe was never meant to orbit around another human being. You are under a spell, dear soul. The spell of codependence. The spell of anxious attachment. The spell of believing that your life only has meaning when this person chooses you. And heaven is here today to break that spell. Right now, in this moment, heaven is speaking directly to the chains around your heart and saying, release. You are not half a person waiting to be made whole by someone else's love. You are already whole. You have always been whole. You were whole before they came. And you will be whole if they leave. Their love is not the oxygen you breathe. Their presence is not the ground you walk on. Their choice is not the verdict on your value. You are valuable because you exist. You are worthy because you were created. You are enough because the same God, the same universe, the same source that hung the stars in the sky knitted you together, with purpose and intention. and an abundance of love that no human being can add to or subtract from. A prayer from heaven for your liberation, dear soul. Heaven wants to close this revelation with a prayer. Not a prayer for your soulmate to come back. Not a prayer for her to disappear. Not a prayer for the situation to resolve itself in your favor. But a prayer for you, a prayer for your freedom, a prayer for your awakening, a prayer for your liberation from every chain, every spell, every wound, every lie that has kept you small. Divine source of all love and all light, look upon this precious soul who stands before you today, bruised but not broken, bleeding but not defeated. They have loved with a love that surpasses what most humans are capable of giving. They have been faithful in a situation that has offered them no faithfulness in return. They have held on when letting go would have been the easier path. But now, Source, they are tired. They are weary. They are asking for a sign, and you have brought them to these words. So let these words be the sign. Let this revelation be the turning point. Let this moment be the one they look back on and say, that was when everything changed. Break every chain of codependence that binds them. Shatter every lie that tells them they are not enough. Dissolve every fear that whispers they will never find a love that chooses them fully. Open their eyes to their own magnificence. Open their heart to the possibility that the best love of their life has not yet arrived. Or perhaps it has. And it is the love they learn to give themselves. And as for their soulmate, we release them into your hands. We release them with love, not with anger. We release them with compassion, not with bitterness. We trust that their journey is their own, that their healing will come in its own time, and that if they are meant to return, truly return, fully return, wholeheartedly return, they will.